We're talking about this project. It's somewhere here in Gurgaon, near Phase 5. And it's a large project, 338 stories, 332 stories. And there's a long decision-making process. And I guess Bridge was the guy who actually pushes technology in DLF. So it's a one-of-a-kind for us as well, because in this project, not only did we have to have the normal scope of work, we had to actually commit to 100% accurate rebar and concrete quantities. Now, that's easier said than done, yeah? You need a lot of collab. Of course, we put riders that based on drawings or design given by the structural consultant. But that being said, normally it's very, very difficult for a service provider like us to commit to it with a PI given to it. So they demanded, we did, we've already started delivering, and yes, there have been disconnects in terms of quantities that we have given versus, because there, today in this project, the unique thing that's happening is the general contractor, they are also using certain technology to take out their rebar quantities and concrete quantities. There's a QS firm, one of the famous ones. They have already submitted their quantities for concrete as well as rebar. And the PMC influenced and DLF was also gung-ho, and they appointed a service provider, which is us, for using Tekla to do it. So they wanted to see, it's a huge investment for this kind of an experiment, to see how these quantities come together. If there is a possibility to get a wider level of control, today the basic problems that I see are, I go around the world, I meet a lot of general contractors, a lot of developers, and it's control that, the most loose end that I feel is they really are not sure whether they have 100% control over the quality of the project. They're afraid the quantities that are coming out, and whether it's going to stay constant, because we start off a project saying this is the X amount we will need for concrete, X amount for rebar, and X, Y, Z for others. And most often than not, it's X into X.1, X.5, X.6, sometimes it's 2X. That's where the quantities reach, or the expenditure reaches at the end of the project. We don't realize that it's causing a dent not only to the developers, but also to the actual consumers, because we are having to buy at a certain higher price, whatever it is. So, there are other software that we could have used, but we said Tekla because we were a little more confident, we were a little more assured, not just of the software, but of the support function as well. They really, really, really helped us. They came over to our office. We had some code issues, code compliance issues, and they helped, and thanks to them as well. We work with a lot of other software consultants, software companies, and I must say these guys were, I guess they're trying the hardest now. And yeah, and so, I'm not going to read out all the benefits, all the objectives, but I think if you see, Bridge, I have noted down those objectives. I think those were really the objectives that the client, that was the client brief that came to us. And you see, if you see the point number 3, the exercise is now enabling. We have started giving out our results. There's a very fixed timeline. Each week we have to submit one particular tower. And we are already seeing the difference between the quantities that are coming out. Yes, we did a test, and we all sit together, banged our heads, and we found out that yes, the quantity is coming out of the digital model is supposed to be accurate. So, so far so good, really. We've done You can see some of the images that we have been doing, the concrete, the rebar in the same concrete. If you see the slab reinforcement, some other good-looking stuff where you got joints, and you got your circular column reinforcements, and some detailing, some outputs. Now, really for security reasons, for confidentiality reasons, I really cannot share a lot of the quantities. But if you actually see, you can actually play around with the quantity. If you're sure, you can actually play around with the quantities, even if you're not 100% into Tekla and you can't use their browser. You really don't need to. If you are there as a project manager, you don't really have the time and the patience to learn a new software. Every project management company, every project manager knows how to use a pivot table. And that's what it comes down to. Use your pivot table, just play around with it, you can know. And you can actually do analysis as to whether you're going correct. Just divide your total, kg by the total length, and you'll find out whether you're somewhere there or, you're going somewhere off or not. And that's really one of the good benefits. The project manager can actually play around with the quantities. Yes, it's not something that Tekla would come out with. Yes, it's something that Intech would do, the presentation of the quantities, but that's okay. The derivative is from the software itself or from the model. And yes, there were issues. It's not that something goes without issues. If you can we've just highlighted 2 or 3 because I didn't want people going to sleep. Yeah. We saw, just to show you, all of you who have been in project sites, you'll know what I'm talking about here. Yeah. So as per the design drawings, we had bar shelves in 2 layers, but really didn't have the space. She had to make it in 3 layers, and we both sat down, the structural engineers, us, and that's what it came down to. Similar, we're shown the same layer. We had to change it. Very simple things, but these things, if we have solved it before going to site, then we've saved at least 1 day each on each issue. 1 day is a lot of time. I'm saying 1 day. It would be much more than 1 day, yeah, because nobody's going to take these decisions. So again, here there was a real problem because the beam size was actually going inside the shear wall. So if we can identify, highlight, get a resolution of these things before actually the project going to site, I think it makes a slight amount of difference. This was discussed. We asked, when we are doing our, when we're trying to discuss the deliverables, when we're submitting, what are the benefits that we're seeing, and some of our observations. We're seeing a greater client involvement. Why are we seeing greater client involvement? Why do we see Senior Vice President of DLF here? That's because it's very tangible. When we talk of BIM, we are a BIM service provider, okay? When we talk of BIM, the intangibles are more than the tangibles. You really cannot, this is the question everybody asks me in markets where BIM is starting, especially India, okay? What are the benefits? I can talk for a day about benefits, but what are the tangible benefits? Can you really measure what you have saved by identifying clashes? I would beg to differ, really. You cannot, because you already saved it. You don't know. So you've preempted it. So here, when you're talking about concrete and rebar, that's what everybody understands. That's what everybody, it's very close to every developer's, every general contractor's hearts. It amounts to a huge amount of time and cost, a project cost, a huge percentage of that. And if you can even save 0.5% of that cost, you have done yourself good. If you give the client a greater degree of control over this, then you've done a world of good. And that's why we have a greater client involvement in this, rather than in a normal BIM environment where we're only talking about clashes in geometry. Though we like doing that. Ease of collaboration, yeah. Because everybody is, yes, we have used BIMsite, and everybody is being able to see this. It's not very difficult. People whom we are dealing with there are serious people. They understand how a project would look like, how a bar should look like, how a beam column junction looks like or should look like. So everybody gets there, all the stakeholders, the PMC, the structural engineer, the actual general contractor, the clients, and the best thing is the model sizes are very low, so it's easier. Happier structural consultants. The reason I say happier structural consultants is, I know there might be a lot of structural consultants here, don't mind me saying this, but the general trend is, we do a lot of calculations in stuff like ETABS or whatever software you're using for doing your structural analysis. And down the line, when you start seeing a lot of changes, that model stays as is. It's just the changes starts happening in the drawings, unless you're changing fire rating or something. Here, and it's very difficult to calculate because that's not your core job, rather, to do that. And when you see a client paying and using a third party, a service providers like us, and actually verifying the quantities, actually giving them ease that yes, the quantities are now there, and we don't have to bang our heads and try to get them, they are happy. And I can show them the problems before actually, they would rather have us telling them the issues, that some of them which I showed you, rather than the site engineers telling them, because then it will be escalated at the client level as well. More assured PMC, yes, of course. If they know that the project is going to go smoother, if the quantities are going to be staying the same, they will win over the client and get the next project from the client. So it's all about control. From the beginning of it, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's getting a little bit more confidence about the control that they have. Greater confidence in change. Now, this project, it started with fire rating 2, then it got changed to fire rating 1. And when it got changed to fire rating 1, definitely the rebar quantities escalated. So they went for a round of value engineering to bring down the quantities as close to possible to fire rating 2. Now, because we were doing this, managing it through the changes, so the structural engineer really did not need to think or concentrate about the. They were using thumb rules. They were concentrating on their design, on their value engineering, and it's quick. The team's good, and we were being able to take the quantities out for them. And so, the whole thing happened within a span of 2 months. The whole 2 rounds of changes, and there's no problem. There's no hold up. Nobody's unhappy. There didn't need to be long discussions on are we going to do it? Are the quantities really going to be this? Everybody's confident about the quantities now. So greater control. That's what it boils down to. Greater control of over everything, over quantities. If you have your quantities correct, yes, the next step would really be for a company like DLF to look and see if to utilize your Tekla model, the outputs coming out of your Tekla model, and see if you can pre-blend your steel or get it, ordering procurement, use it for procurement stages, but maybe some other project. The benefits of us as a service provider using Tekla or promoting rebar and concrete through Tekla, it's a specialized service. So I would rather use a specialized software for a specialized service rather than everyday software for a specialized service, if that makes any sense. Tangible benefits for the client, it's an easier sell because the clients would identify, because people say India is late adopters to BIM, the BIM technology in India is poor. I would really beg to differ there. I've been doing this for years now. The best thing about India is, who are the people promoting? Who are our clients? 98% of our clients are developers. Go outside India, nearly 90% of our clients are either consultants or general contractors. Here the clients have taken onus in promoting BIM. So, it's a better market. It's really much better. It's much smoother because the clients can take decisions faster. Uh, yeah. So the last point I wouldn't even read out. It's 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 self-sufficient. It's very obvious. I thought I'll talk about this. I wouldn't. We've been there for years, over 25 years, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.